layer. So if you hit Control J, it'll duplicate that layer, so you have a layer now that isn't your original image you can work on. See, it's just a copy. So now on the left hand side here, we have the tool palette. And the tool palette is another great thing to have in this program. Hold on, I didn't mean to do that. Let me create another layer. Okay, so if I put that there. Alright, so the first tool is the move tool, and the move tool is pretty self-explanatory. It moves things. So if I want to move this teal line I got my second layer selected, and I just click and it moves just like that. I don't even have to click on the teal thing. I can click in the sky here and the whole thing moves. So now if I click my first layer, look, see, my duplicate moves just like that. So now the second, third, and fourth buttons here are the selection tools, and they are pretty important. You'll probably need them for most of your projects that you're working on. These are the marquee tools. You got the rectangular marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, the single row marquee tool, and the single column marquee tool. If you click on this button and you hold it in, it'll bring up more like that. All the buttons that have this little black arrow at the bottom right corner can do that. So basically, like I said, it's a selection tool. You make a square like that, and now that area I just selected is selected. So if I take my brush and go into my, let's see, make another layer here, and I go in it, I could just paint like that. And see, now I can paint anywhere on the image, and it won't appear anywhere else but inside that selection. And that is with all the selection tools. Any selection you make, you can only do work within that selection. So if I go back on that. But also, here's another thing you could do with this with selection tools. See, I have that area selected like that. If I hit Control J, oh crap. If I click the image like that, and I hit Control J, if you look on the sample it gives on my layers here, it took that image I had selected and made a layer out of it. So if I go to my move tool, I can move that section that I had selected there. See? Just like that, and I can move, say I want clouds in the grass, something like that. That's a really cool thing to know. So we don't want that there anyway, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so that is the rectangular, and the elliptical marquee tool is the same. These two we'll go into later. They're a little bit different. They could do some pretty neat things. Let's see. We got the lasso tools. The lasso tools are pretty much used for tedious jobs. Say you have to, select a certain portion that's in between someone's fingers. You need the lasso tools to do that because a very small area. Now this first one is just the normal lasso tool. So the regular lasso tool is a free drawing lasso. You click and you drag it with the mouse, and you hold the button down and you just drag, just like that. And see, it makes a selection just like before, but this time you did it however you wanted. So like again, if I take my brush and go in, I can only do within that. That's just what that does. It's just like the rectangular marquee tool, but it's a different tool, lasso tool. It's freestyle. You can draw it however you want. It's very good for tracing. If you're in computer graphics 1 in college, you'll probably be doing watercoloring and other projects like that. You'll probably be using the lasso tools in order to make the selections in the picture to paint. So those are very good to know. Now the next lasso tool is the polygonal lasso tool, and this one is a little bit different than that other one. So let's try and trace this mountain. So if I click, I can drag, and then I click again. I could change directions like that. I click again, changes directions. Click again, and every time you get to a point where you got to change directions or make a move, you click and you can start a whole new line. So if I just keep on going, I can trace this entire outline of these mountains. I'm using a finger mouse, so It's a little hard to make it a perfect trace. And just go, let me just go right across. Now, if you go all the way back, if you look at your polygons thing on there on the lines, you'll see a little circle once it comes to the starting point. That means you've closed it, and all it takes is one click, and it's selected, just like that. See? So if I do, okay. Now, the magnetic lasso tool is pretty much the same thing as the normal lasso tool. Actually, it's a combination of both. What it does, it sticks to the pixels. I'm not going to do it here because my computer's acting a little weird and it might freeze up. So, but if you just click along, just like that. You gotta be careful though. It'll go away from the pixels. So you gotta kind of stay close, and you gotta do it slow. You gotta click every couple moves, like that. So. But yeah, that's what the magnetic lasso tool is. I prefer the polygonal. It's a lot easier, but the problem with the polygonal is it gives you sharp points and turns when you do the click. It doesn't allow you to have soft curves. So the next selection tool are the magic wand and quick selection tool. Now the magic wand tool is a very useful tool. So let's say you have an image, you got a solid color in the center of this, just like that, and you want to get rid of it. You take the magic wand tool and you click on it, and see now the whole thing is selected because all these pixels within are the same, and that's what it does. It selects the same or very close to similar pixels. Now if I hit the backspace, I just deleted that. See, just like that. And now I'll just Control D, or I think Command D on a Mac. I'm using a PC, so if I utter any PC terms, might have to look up the Mac. I'm sorry. So Control D for me will deselect. So that's what the magic wand tool does. Now if I hold it in, now I got the quick selection tool. Now the quick selection tool is pretty new to Photoshop CS3. CS4 came out about, actually I think a week or two ago, so I don't have that yet. But if I take the quick selection tool and I click and drag, see it forms, it'll grab sections of the pictures. Now this is good if you want to, it's good if you're trying to get like a very tedious area, like in between someone's fingers, but the problem is it tends to grab too much, and it can get very annoying. So the selection tools can grate your nerves. Also, before I get out of the selection tool, there's one more thing you should know about this stuff. So let's say I make a selection like that. There's my selection. Up here with these icons, these are the add and subtract options for lasso tools. So if I want to subtract from this selection, I would click on that third one right there, and say I want to get rid of this little turn I made by accident. I would circle it just like that, and meet the end point and let go, and see it goes away just like that. Now let's say if I want to add on, I would start about right on next to the line. I would go up, around, come back, and make a circle. And see, it makes a circle like that. If you want to straighten it out, you'd have to mess around a little bit with the subtraction again. See, straightens it out just like that. It looks like a big spoon. Alright, so that's with all of them. See, even this magic wand tool has it. The quick selection tool had its own variations here. So that's the selection tools. They're very important. You'll need them forever. Okay, so next we have the crop tool, and the crop tool, we've been using since elementary school, and we've been working with the kiddie programs with pictures and everything. So if you click here and you drag, it should be pretty obvious what the crop tool does. Like I said, we've been using the crop tool since elementary school. It selects the part of the picture that you chose, and if you double click, it crops the picture smaller. So if there's something in the picture at the edge you don't want in there, you could just use the crop tool to get rid of it. Pretty neat tool there. Basic. Now the next tool is the slice tool. The slice tool I'm not gonna talk about now, because the slice tool can do some certain functions like if you're building a web page and you build a template in Photoshop, the slice tool allows you to export that template and use it